Hi, my name's Eric, welcome back to my channel. Let's talk once again about Madonna. Today, as you requested, I'm going to react to her 2003 album American Life and break down the album's lyrics. Before I dive in, let me know in the comments down below what Madonna album I should react to next. Check the description box for a link to a list of nonprofits you can donate to. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos every week, and hit the bell icon to be notified when my videos go live. Without further ado, track number 1 is the title track, American Life.
Do I have to change my name? Should I lose some weight? Am I gonna be a star? I tried to be a mess. I tried to be the best. I guess I did it wrong. This type of modern life, is it for me?
Okay, I like the production.
I went into a bar, looking for sympathy. I tried to find a friend. It's more easily said. It's always been the same. Oh, American life. Best thing I've seen. I tried to play the part, but somehow I forgot just what I did it for and why I wanted more. Tried to be a boy, tried to be a girl. I'm drinking a latte, I get a double shot. It goes through my body, and you know I'm satisfied.
I didn't know she rapped.
I got a lawyer and a manager, an agent and a chef, 3 nannies, an assistant and a driver and a jet, a trainer and a butler and a bodyguard of 5. And I just realized that nothing is what it seems.
I mean, it took her a little while to figure that out. That was very different, I think mostly in good ways. I really like the production, not sure how I feel about Madonna the rapper, that was something. It's super glitchy in sort of like an electronica way. Very weird. Very weird, but I liked it. So lyrically, Madonna is telling us the story of how she achieved the American dream, and she peppers in some details that signal us to broader problems in the US. She says, do I have to change my name? Will it get me far? Should I lose some weight? Already showing us some aspects of her identity that might not be palatable to the general public. And it was a keen choice to start out by mentioning her name because it shows us how fundamental these things that she's thinking about changing are to her personally. It's deeper than just changing something superficial. And she's found this life to be isolating. She says on the second verse that she went into a bar looking for sympathy, but she couldn't find a friend. She can change herself to fit people's expectations, but she's still fundamentally alone. On that wrapped verse, she gives us this collage of images of the ideal American lifestyle, so we get like cars and butlers and jets just in this cynical list until they blur into each other and become just meaningless objects. And she sees through it all, saying, nothing is what it seems. Maybe we'll see more of where the suspicion and cynicism comes from on track number 2, Hollywood.
Everybody comes to Hollywood. They wanna make it in the neighborhood. Shine your light now. This time it's got to be good. Got good time down and it feels so good. Everybody comes to Hollywood.
I really like the production.
How could it hurt you when it looks so good? I lost my memory in Hollywood. Tried to leave it, but I never could. Shine your light now. They wanna make it in the neighborhood. They like the smell of it in Hollywood.
Somehow I doubt that. I like the vocal modifications.
Push the button, don't push the button. Trip the station, change the channel. Push the button, don't push the button. Trip the station, change the channel.
Okay, so I don't know how revelatory it is lyrically, but sonically I really admire the boldness of it. I think there's a lot of weird and very exciting stuff going on actually in the production. I love the vocal modifications, how aggressive the percussion is, and how the acoustic guitar is woven in. It's super bizarre, but I think it works really well. Basically, we've zoomed in from, America in general to the entertainment industry, another thing that obviously Madonna has experience with. So we have the expected veneer of these images of Hollywood, right? Sunny skies, riding on the freeway, images of freedom and possibility. And then we have the next expected step of chipping away at that veneer to reveal something else. Talks about her reputation being destroyed and rebuilt, and she talks about the homogeneity of the music that the industry pushes when she says on the bridge that music stations always play the same thing. Beyond that, we don't really get many specifics or much information, so we're still pretty much in the realm of skeptic subtweeting. Track number 3 is I'm So Stupid. Yes. Her voice sounds great. Okay, that ended abruptly. So the change that's occurred here is that on the prior track, she was basically this all-seeing eye gazing knowingly over Hollywood, the well-trodden ground that she was all too familiar with, but now she admits that she was once naive enough to buy into this machine. Again though, it's really vague, which does also match the vagueness of the promise of Hollywood and by extension of the American dream. She says on the first verse, I used to live in a fuzzy dream and I used to believe in the pretty pictures. There's nothing to grab onto, these are empty promises. But I'd be interested to hear Madonna get into specifics as to why she feels betrayed and misled. Track number 4 is Love Profusion.
There is not one solution. There is no resurrection. And love profusion. You make me feel, you make me know. There are too many options. There is no consolation. And love profusion. You make me feel. Got you under my skin. I got you under my skin. There is no comprehension. There is real isolation. I got you under my skin. And the world can look so sad. Only you make me feel good.
Okay, so she's doing a similar thing here to what she does in a lot of songs on bedtime stories, which is that she depicts love as an escape from the ills of the world. When she has nothing else, she has a profusion, an abundance of love. One way that she alludes to the fact that the world sucks and we're all doomed on the first verse is that she says, there is not one solution, there is no resurrection, there is so much confusion. The resurrection refers probably to Jesus and to the idea of the Messiah, and so she's saying, Judgment Day isn't coming. We're not getting any answers or solutions or absolution, so might as well just enjoy each other's company as we watch the world burn. Track number 5 is Nobody Knows Me.
Had so many lives since I was a child. I'm not that kind of guy. I think I can fly closer to the sky.
Icarus myth, obviously.
No one's telling you how to live your life, but it's a setup until you're fed up. Now I'm gonna try to improve my life. I met a stranger, give me a social disease. Nobody knows me. Nobody knows me.
Ooh, breakdown.
I sleep much better at night. Nobody knows me. Nobody knows me. Nobody knows me. Don't want your social disease.
Madonna carries over the resurrection idea from the prior song when she says on the first verse that she has lived many lives since she was a child. On a literal level, this can be about her album cycles and the personas that she's attached to them. On a deeper level, though, it's about her feeling the need to put on a show or a facade for other people, just like the question of changing her name on the title track. And she says that these resurrections require a death each time, so with these career possibilities and these reinventions also comes some sort of death of the spirit, some sort of sacrifice of who she is fundamentally. The rest of the song is just Madonna lamenting how misunderstood she is and how no one truly gets her. And she says this is reflective of society as a whole, everyone existing as islands and not being able to open up to each other. Again, as an extension of the idea of connection not only on Love Profusion, but also a whole lot of her music. Track number 6 is Nothing Fails.
I'm in love with you. You said it there. Anyone can see. It was not a chance meeting. Feel my heart beating.
This is definitely much warmer in its production, with the introduction of the strings.
You could take all this. I'd still have it all. When I get lost in space, I can return to this place, 'cause you're the one. Nothing fails, no more fears. You washed away my tears. Makes me wanna pray, pray you'll always be here. When I get lost in space, I can return to this place. I get twice, but I feel so low. Makes me wanna
The irony of using a gospel choir when she says she's not religious, that's funny. So while that song had the most conventional production so far, I think it also had the strongest melodies. So definitely a highlight for me. So something that Madonna does between this song and I'm So Stupid is that she minimizes herself and her partner. She's basically berated herself and now she's affectionately calling her partner a silly thing. It's all diminutive, lessening. But the song is also still about this love being an escape from the meaninglessness of life that makes her feel lost. She says on the pre-chorus, "When I get lost in space, I can return to this place 'cause you're the one." So even though this song sends a similar message to the last few tracks, we feel the outside world pushing in a bit more. Like on the second chorus when she says that she's not religious, but she prays that her partner will always be there for her. So it's basically another iteration of the same message of love being an escape, just with some added doubt in the periphery. Track number 7 is Intervention.
I got to save my baby because he makes me cry.
Interesting.
I want to save his life. That love will change us forever. And I know there is nothing to fear. It's easy to be lazy and hard to go away from the crowd. And either way, my baby will never be the same. Love will take us away from here. In the blink of an eye, everything could change. Say hello to your life. Now you're living. I know the road looks lonely. That's just Satan's game. You take us away from here.
Okay, so just like on the last track, we are on the same path of Madonna imagining this love as something that can protect her from the outside world. But now she has even more doubt, and she feels like she has to protect this partner in order to protect this love. She needs to intervene. It could be in the sense of like a drug intervention, but we don't actually know because the lyrics aren't super specific, again, about what exactly Madonna has to save this partner from. But she also says on the first verse, I got to save my baby because he makes me cry. I got to make him happy and teach him how to fly. Him making her cry doesn't feel great. Like, is that her concern for him? Is it her level of emotion for him? Or is she just watering a dead tree? Maybe we'll find out on track number 8, Ecstatic Process.
Not myself when you're around. I'm not myself and I don't know
Her voice sounds great on this track.
how. Jesus Christ, will you look at me? Don't know who I'm supposed to be. I'm not myself when you go quiet. I'm not myself all alone at night. I always wish that I could find someone as beautiful as you. I forgot that I was special too. I'm not myself standing in a crowd. I'm not myself.
She feels anonymous with him.
I was just as good as you.
I wasn't expecting a more folk rock leaning song, but I think Madonna's voice was perfect for it. She sounded really great here. So the title of the song is really loaded. First of all, we have ecstatic, which sounds like ecstatic, as in ecstasy, which can be religious, romantic, or drug-related. But separating the word static brings up ideas of technology, like radio static, or the idea of stasis, like the idea of not being able to change the world around you. And then process also gives me artificiality. Computer processing processed foods, the possible implication being that any romantic or religious joy is basically manufactured and ultimately hopeless. And in the lyrics, Madonna's devotion has come back to hurt her. In the outro, she says, I always wished I could find someone as talented as you, but in the process, I forgot that I was just as good as you. She's given all of herself over to this partner to her detriment. She has undervalued herself, which retroactively explains her world-wearied, self-deprecating pessimism and her over-reliance on this relationship for happiness. I want to pause, though, to explore the possibility of this whole middle stretch of the album actually relating to its title, because Madonna hasn't really spoken a whole lot about American life. Anything political, religious, or social has amounted to vague whisperings of cynicism and skepticism. So the purpose of these choices could be to imply that living in the US means always needing an out, an escape from the reality that things are just set up against love and happiness. Track number 9 is Mother and Father.
There was a time I was happy in my life. There was a time I believed I'd live forever. There was a time I had a mother, it was nice. No one else, I guess, could hurt me like you did. I didn't understand, I was just a kid. I'm trying hard to dry my tears. Yes, Father, you know I'm not so free. I got to let it go. Find someone that I can care for. I got to give it up. There was a time I was happy in my life. There was a time I believed I'd live forever. Oh, Mother, why aren't you here with me? No one else saw the things that you could see. I got to give it up. Find someone to love me. My mother died when I was 5, and all I did was sit and cry. I cried and cried and cried all day until the neighbors went away. My father had to go to work. I used to think he was a jerk. He became a shadow of the father I was dreaming of, victim of a kind of rage.
Oh wow, a lot of unpacking happening here. Okay, wow. Yeah, definitely a very vulnerable song. So in the chorus, of course, Madonna says, I've got to give it up, find someone to love me. I've got to let it go, find someone that I can care for. And this happens after she reflects on the happiness of her early childhood and the death of her mother. In the context of this romantic relationship that Madonna set up over the last few tracks, this is Madonna coming to the light and realizing that she has worth and that she deserves happiness. so she should ditch this bad relationship and find something better. Alternatively, it's about her relationship with herself and that she never fully coped with the death of her mother, and that she still needs to learn the lessons of having self-love and having faith in herself. Track 10 is Die Another Day, the theme from the Bond movie of the same name.
I'm gonna wake up, yes and no. I'm gonna kiss some part of. I'm gonna close my body. Yes,
I like how fragmented the lyrics sound.
yes, yes, I'll die another day. Sigmund Freud. Analyze this. Analyze this. I'm gonna break the cycle. I'm gonna destroy my ego. I think I'll find another way.
Interesting. I remember seeing this movie when I was a kid. I don't remember the song. I remember very little of the movie other than the fact that it felt very much like an early 2000s action movie. Who was it? Pierce Brosnan and like Halle Berry, I think. This was also like the in-between phase when they weren't hewing super closely to the classic style of the James Bond theme. They have since revitalized that style, obviously with Adele's Skyfall being just the huge success that it was. And even though this song was written obviously for the movie and not necessarily for this album, I'm going to analyze it in the context of this broader emotional arc. And on this song, she talks about psychology and analysis of the mind. On the second verse, she says that she's going to destroy her ego, and then on the chorus, she says, I guess I'll die another day. Together, these lines bring up the idea of ego death, which just super generally can mean a complete deconstruction and possible reconstruction of your sense of self. Coming off of the last track of her tracing her trauma back to her childhood and using it to explain her current relationships, she's continuing to realize that maybe she's got things to work on emotionally. So we have these parallel deaths. She needs to kill her ego, or really her trauma, to prevent it from killing her. The final track, track number 11, is Easy Ride. I like how she's using the strings to tie back to the last song to make it fit more.
I want the good life. What I want is to work for it. I want to know everything. Breathe the air and feel the sun on that children's face. Round and round, just like a circle. I can see a clearer picture. What I want is to live forever. I go round and round, just like a circle. And I touch the ground, I come full circle. And I am home, I am home.
And that is how the album ends. So on the chorus, she says, when I touch the ground, I come full circle to my place and I am home. A lot of this album has been about finding a sense of belonging. On the opener, she had trouble finding friends, but she felt grounded in her seemingly now ended relationship. On the last track, she talked about her ego, and I didn't mention the most obvious meaning of ego, which is a sense of self-importance. So returning to the ground is another image of killing her ego. She needs to return to her roots and confront her past in order to heal emotionally. This also might explain why she felt so isolated earlier on the album. It's hard to relate to other people when you are the Madonna. Both celebrity status and personal trauma can be isolating, so this track reveals some of the motivation behind the album's title and the broad net that it casts. As the mellower, more stripped-back production of this album reflects, she's humbling herself, revealing her vulnerability and her sense of isolation as a way, in fact, of working against that isolation. She's reaching out her hand and saying, I've suffered too. I know how you feel and how we all feel. So maybe underneath these songs about her life and her struggles, there's a message of universality and unification. Overall, this doesn't really feel like your conventional Madonna album. While it lacks lyrical clarity and a strong political message that would live up to its title, it offers something different. It offers weird, experimental electronic production and some of Madonna's strongest, most intimate vocals. And in line with its universality, it works sort of as a mood piece that you can project your own experiences onto. So while American Life isn't quite as explosive as some of Madonna's other albums, I really liked it, and I think it has a special place in Madonna's catalog. So thank you to all of you who recommended that I listen to this album, and once again, please let me know in the comments down below what Madonna album I should react to next, and what other topics you'd like to see me cover on my channel. Check the description for that donation link. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos every week. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you are staying safe and healthy, and until next time, that's it.